Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart, and in this video I'm joined by Alex and Carolina from A&K Historical and Fantasy Creations to talk all about Warhammer LARP and costuming. Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Baron of Dice, premium wargaming dice. Over 500 styles, over 4,000 customer reviews. Welcome to the best dice on the planet. Well, welcome Alex and Carolina for coming on the show. We've been chatting behind the scenes for a couple of months now, started with terrain talk and miniatures talk and things as well, but you made me aware of some of the amazing stuff that you do with your cosplay, your LARP, your costuming, as well as the miniature stuff as well. And we just chatted for ages. We decided it was time to get together and have a really good chat. But I wanted to kind of start really talking about the whole LARP and costume side of things, because you've been involved in some of the biggest, really cool Central European, so the Polish, Warhammer based LARP, the stuff that we all look up on Facebook groups and go, oh my God, if only that was in the UK. And I think it would be a really nice thing to start with. And lots of people that I spoke to said, I'm going to get you on the show. We're really excited about hearing about that. And then we'll no doubt talk about all these different things. So thank you for coming on. But why don't we start with just a bit of a introduction to yourselves, and the best people to do that would be you two, really.
I will let you speak.
Okay. My name is Carolina, and I'm from Poland. And my journey with Warhammer started with LARPing, and I joined. I started LARPing with battle LARPs. So it's more like it's not like the LARPs that are in like here in
or
UK.
Mythodea or Drakenfest, the D&D character creation,
skill based. It's not that. Our LARPs are more like reenactment,
realistic, realistic and full contact.
Theatrical and full contact. Right. So of course we have everyone wears like armors or without armors. We fight with the foam weapons, but the good ones like epic armory and that kind of stuff. And I started my journey with joining the chaos. So I was always on the dark side,
where all the hot women and together.
Yeah. Started with a group of Slanesh as a Slanesh cultist, but then after a lot of drama regarding the group, we all know why. It's controversy, yeah. And then it was like Norska. I was a couple of times as a Norska, and
you've done a lot of witches as NPC.
Yes, like witches, all those like shady characters. Tavern maids, yes. I've been everywhere. Yeah, and I'm the latest, my latest costume before
going into the
we met and started going with Empire was a high elf. So it was like I would say more like a mix, because it is a high elf but also a shadow elf. Right. So it was like joining those two things for the story of the group that gathered. So yeah, community in Poland, the LARP community is big. The events sometimes reach like 400 people, so it is very big. It looks very, very good because we really care about the level, the outfits and all the stuff we bring to the game, it has to be a very good level.
The lore, the background,
yes,
the items,
and
the storyline.
We even care about materials from which we are making the outfits. So we are trying to use the real medieval techniques. So wool, linen, no the fake materials, because we think that this is like breaking the immersion. So even the tents and the stuff we are going for the encampment, it's all like it looks like you are really in the game.
Right. Yeah.
So
sounds like it's more akin to historical reenactors in terms of the ethos of
a lot of
the way you get your materials from and how realistic they look.
The reenactment or reconstruction community, as we call it in Poland, is also very big in that type of Europe. So a lot of these people, they will have this as a background and they will do the Warhammer. So they bring this concept or background or mindset, I would say. So eventually you get this quality and end result into the Warhammer world.
Yes, it's like a reenactment, but with a fantasy twist. And
that makes sense.
The main point, the most important thing is that we have the completely just Warhammer LARPs. It's not fantasy in general, it's Warhammer. So we of course call it Warhammer inspired. So there's no trouble
to get someone off our backs.
The whole point was to portray the Warhammer world. So we of course have Witcher universe. We have other universes now. I know that
Gothic from that.
The newest one is Gothic, that is very well known and quite a big thing right now. We have new LARPs from Fallout universe and Skyrim as well.
Right,
Don't forget the American Western Texas.
The 4th of July.
Yes,
there is but it's not a battle LARP.
No, it's how you call it, city life. But and people portray how Americans in the wild west or Texas or 4th of July. Yeah, you get everything in Poland.
That's really interesting. I think going back to when I was a child, even at county fairs and things, you would see people. I suppose I never really thought of it as LARP at the time, but the big people would dress up as cowboys and have that whole Western thing, and they would put on a gunfight show, and it was awful, but they clearly loved it. And it was at that era, you just kind of grew up with Westerns on the television on a Sunday or something like that. So I suppose that's been going on for a long time, but those people would not have called this costuming or LARP. They would have just been really into that period of history, which you see again with lots of other things. But I can see why that would make it. But to go for a non-combatant style thing is really interesting, isn't it? That what people get into.
We are also upgrading because it's not only people dressed as normal characters. We have also monsters. So we have a lot of we started lower, but now we there are groups that build actual big outfits on the stilts. For example, of a rat ogre that was I don't know, it was almost 3 meters high and big, broad shoulders. So we also they also built a big and a stone golem.
I think we can search also some links. A lot of people would see. Unfortunately, before the war, the Russian Warhammer community was very, very, very big, and
they also have big events and very nice.
And
nice
the only
events.
biggest difference you see in Poland or Germany, Denmark, that's the biggest communities of Warhammer. Czech. But the problem is, and it's a little bit sad and it's difficult to get out of this, it's that they focus, because we are humans, Unfortunately, we have to focus on human factions, and you see basically Empire LARPs, strictly on Empire.
There was time when we had a very strong chaos side of the LARP community, but unfortunately, the Empire was trying to just wipe it because they were losing all the time, and they just got jealous. And at some time, at some point, it was so bad that actually everyone resigned from being chaos, because we actually were downgraded to the role of NPC monsters.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's hard, because those chaos is like magical creatures.
It takes more lore-wise to play such a character.
It's not only human with an armor, so you have to count it differently.
Yeah.
Like
the Imperials, because it's the concept is strongly based in reenactment, I would say, or realistic. The Empire factions, they go into military formations. So we have strict disciplinary structure and hierarchy order. So you start as a recruit, and most are situated around that. And it's realistic as F, I would say.
It's nice.
It's nice to the people who like it, or to the people who don't like it, they have to go to somewhere else.
But I think that, playing a fantasy LARP without the monsters and the magic,
it's like World War II without the Germans, unfortunately.
It's missing something. You don't have to, like, those Empire LARPs right now. It's like, one army against the other army.
Sigmar versus Sigmar, you hear. But with Russians, you could see literally, like, Empire was a small faction. You could see orcs, you could see vampires, you could see dwarves, high elves, everything.
Yeah, but the moment when, for example, they meet, that's like the old story. There is a guy with only a shirt and pants, right? And he has a sword, and he's going, and he sees a demon. And he wants to beat that demon because what? He's a knight. He doesn't have armor, but he's a knight. So he wants to kill that demon. And he should be running as fast as he can, because he is not able to kill a demon with normal weapon without an armor. And that's what started the whole problem, because it was too hard to actually kill, for example, a chaos warrior.
Yeah.
Which should be hard, because they are magical. They are not
or orcs.
Normal.
But, it depends what LARP you have. So the Russians, it's more of a theatrical type of LARP. So the hits, we will send you some videos later on to see. It's more theatrical, but in Poland it's more full contact, as would say. So realism has these issues, but it's okay. There is in Germany as well. There is in Denmark. There is a lot of what we say guild-based or city life, or so there is more of a Mordheim feeling, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's also nice. I forgot to introduce myself. With all this.
Go for it.
I think my background has more similarities to your background, I would say. I was around, I would say, 12, 13. Have you heard the company De Agostini?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's how I started. So De Agostini used to release kits back in Greece when I was young, like cartoons from Disney. They would have the Atlas, from the magazine, of course, but they have, like, so they would release how you could make an earth ball from all the character comics. I would collect that, and my mother would be, oh, come on, every time you collect this and this and this, and you're not doing anything. But I was a kid, I enjoyed it. So I would collect every week. And then at some moment, after the movies came about, and of course, the Lord of the Rings movies, De Agostini releases an ad in the TV about miniatures, and it was the Lord of the Rings miniatures. And I was on the TV like that.
Wow.
Coming back from school. And my mother was like,
Oh no. Again, here we go again.
Battle games in Middle Earth. I can't see them because they're down here, but I've got all the issues all in binders down there. So
I have the rule book. But it was so addictive that for me it wasn't one magazine per week. I would collect 2 or 3.
Mm.
So it was a serious thing at this point. My mother was like, "What are we doing now?" Before it was like 1 magazine. Now we have 3 magazines. And I would paint, and instead of socializing like the other kids, go play at the park or go meet, the other sex when I was a kid, I would just stay at home and paint. And of course, it was kind of a niche collection. No other kid from school would collect, or they would see what it is and then they would just drop it. But for me, it was so addictive that I never had anyone to play. So I would either force my parents who couldn't understand what is this type of game, or I would just put them and look at them myself, and that was my entertainment. Until my big brother and my big cousin came about and told me, I will introduce you to someone. What is that someone? So someone who has a hobby shop at the center of Athens. And that was the other shock. In Greece, we don't have game workshop or Warhammer shops, but we had, in general, hobby shops.
Yeah.
So they would have a very strong Warhammer and back then Lord of the Rings community, but also they would host D&D, they would have libraries, they would have a collection of action figures. And so I went there and I got socialized with other kids or adults with the same idea. And, you would go every week, you would paint, you would play your games, you would take part in tournaments. And unfortunately, my natural expansion was Warhammer. Warhammer Fantasy, I would say, 7th edition. And that stayed.
It was an edition I got back into the game with. I had a little break for a few years. Yeah, so it's those part work magazines have a lot to they've got a lot of people in the hobby, and I suppose they're still trying them now. They've just launched the latest Combat Patrol for 40k one. That's a new part work that's launched. So they're clearly really successful at getting people not only buy the magazines, but get people into the hobby, because there's Games Workshop continuing to do partnerships with these companies. It must work. It must work.
I think it was the most successful campaign, not only for Lord of the Rings, but in the introduction to the hobbies as a way of socializing. It wasn't like I'm at home right now, and playing, but there is other people, and that's how you can connect. And the shops took advantage of that. We had this huge boom in Greece, especially, and in the communities. And back then, it wasn't even Facebook. It was forums, and that we'll be able to arrange for game days or painting together. And it was a sense of, I don't need my school friends anymore. I have other types of friends. I was literally the only kid.
Who are the same,
3 other kids tried, yes. One was trying to paint at home, the other one was a little bit with video games, but I was the only kid who got into the hobby shops.
Yes. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, finding, especially at that age, finding your. I was pre-internet when I started. Well, it was very early days, but there was definitely no online groups for gaming at that point. I was very lucky that my next door neighbor was a gamer, so that's how I only had to go as far as next door, but I didn't know many other people.
To explain to your parents that I'm going somewhere to play with a 50-year-old. About soldiers, and your parents are like, where he's gonna touch you.
Yes, I think it's and especially now that just wouldn't be allowed now at all. But it's you sound like you had a similar start to many people, especially people who started gaming around the time of Lord of the Rings, because that was obviously such a big boom for Games Workshop throughout the world. Huge, so much so that they struggled when it died off, because they almost overstretched.
Expansion to the outer audience, not to the to the niche, but it was the other audience. And because it was Lord of the Rings, because it was a big name, and people saw the movies, and it catapulted, the whole concept, the sales, the games, and everything.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Well, I didn't know nothing about a Warhammer, the tabletop, until I met him.
Yeah, so. That's the funny part that connects us, that a lot of the Polish, I don't want to speculate, but I saw a little bit that the Warhammer Polish community, or maybe other Polish community, other Warhammer communities, they have no idea to the beginnings of the hobby as part of miniatures. And yeah, it's the LARP is so big that they don't need people to have this type of background to enter to play, which is crazy for me as a head.
Yeah, I would have assumed that the at least would be, oh yeah, it comes from this.
Exactly.
We don't do that, but it comes from this. But
I mean, I was very much into gaming, like into MMOs. So I played a lot of fantasy games before I started LARPing, and that's why I fell in love with LARPs, because it's like being in a game, but yourself. So the forgetting about everything, about your real personality, your real character, and just becoming another thing, and completely forgetting yourself. That was, and another thing, I was surrounded by people that actually understood me. So that's what, like finding that community.
So you find your people.
So
always good when you find your people you can be yourself around.
And I said, oh no, this is the thing I want to do. This is my thing.
I wish this came without drama most of the time. So that's the problem.
Drama is everywhere. Everywhere.
I was thinking when you were talking about the drama in Poland and the balance of the game and the demons being too strong, and I was just thinking this is the same as we're arguing about rules for the tabletop game online. And I imagine it's the same for computer games and things as well. People just in communities bicker a little bit about with the way things should be done, because everyone has their own opinion on it. It made me realize that things, and it's the same with sport as well. You'll be people online arguing about football or cricket or whatever it happens to be. So I think that's just human nature, but at least it's about nice things rather than politics. So it makes a change. So you've gone from this sort of the early stages, and so you met via the LARPing kind of thing. So when did you start making your own things and crafting? Where does that connection come in?
I started the moment I started LARPing. That was the moment I started creating and crafting stuff, because I was drawing and I was an artist, but I didn't do like real stuff like to wear and so on, like parts of armor. And when I started LARPing, this like thing came up, and I was like, oh, I need to do some stuff like that, because like you don't have a money tree to buy everything from other people. So I started embroidering. I started to play with EVA foam, with Warbler for the cosplay stuff, but also for LARPing. And that's where I started doing. And you?
I started around after I finished high school. I got into airsofting, and I love the militaristic stuff, even though I hate war, but I love militaristic stuff. I know it's very controversial. And I got immediately also into cosplaying. And back in Greece, we didn't have the huge community. We have like cosplay parties in small bars or clubs in Athens, and we would meet once or twice a month. And other people, like the maximum would be 100 people coming together. And we had small cosplay competitions, like very small. Choose the person you like wandering around the club at the end of the night, and who wins a small prize. And that's the way I got into either retouching some of my stuff or actually making some of my stuff. And then, yes, around 2016, I got started into the Greek LARPing community. A year after, actually a very close friend of mine started. It was so small that everybody knew each other. And the difference between their big LARPs is that we used to gather again every once a week at the park in Athens, and we would just exchange blows and train. And then maybe once a month, we would have a small LARP festivity, like half a day together. And at some point, together with other friends and with my previous relationship, that person who started the LARP community in Greece, we got together and said, we want to have a more organizational structure. Why don't we build a workshop to fund this organizational structure? And we rented a workshop and we tried our, expedition into crafting a little bit of leather, a little bit of fabric. And then I migrated to Scotland, where I decided I was getting very addicted with the Warhammer Empire things. I don't know why. And I participated in the Comic-Cons here, won first place in 2023.
With the Talabheim
With the
costume.
Talabheim costume.
Yes.
And
yes, it's his love, like Talabheim, the colors.
It's a big love because of the controversy with the red and white colors.
Yes.
Right.
Because of what happened when, our famous hobby game workshop decided to completely cancel it out of existence because it was a selling and to go into Age of Sigmar. That was the moment that Creative Assembly stepped in and said, can I have those rights for that board game you just killed? And Game Workshop was like, take it. We don't want it more. Oh, thank you very much. And they exploited it as much as possible, catapulted into the public. They used red and white as the most famous colors, to represent the units. And you had, I read lately, you had so many people coming back into the hobby shops wanting, can we have some of this Warhammer fantasy? Oh, we're very sorry, we don't have that anymore. We have some fantasy space marines if you would like. No, the Age of Sigmar. And we're like, no, we don't want that. We want the video game. Sorry, we don't have it anymore. And I wanted to use that costume somewhere. So the natural expansion was to try and find a LARP community.
And not forget that you actually made your own armor.
Yes, we after the workshop in Greece didn't have the future or the expectation we wanted, we migrated with my ex-partner to Scotland. And we found other people from the reenactment community here and the sword maker and the studio music engineer. And we said together, there is more funds here, there's more opportunities. Let's rent another big workshop. And that gave us more space and more tools to actually start my journey into blacksmithing and armoring. And that's how we...
It's just the market for blacksmithing, like for armors, it's not so wide, so big. So
there were more opportunities, unfortunately, before Brexit, which destroyed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And another sad thing is that I couldn't find any Warhammer LARP communities here. And you would say,
sad because it's like it's from here. It's from here. Yeah. So why there is no LARPs with Warhammer from Warhammer universe in the place of birth of Warhammer? Like
it saddens me because we come from a background in Greece that we didn't know back then a lot about Warhammer, and we had to create our own stories. So the most natural and easiest is to take stories or take the element of stories out of a D&D based LARP, the old Dungeons and Dragons. So you literally take a story about their dragons or orcs or elves or gnomes, whatever, but you have a structure. But the more I grow up, the more I realize that I want something more realistic. And Warhammer for me was the natural expansion of realism. But I couldn't find it anywhere here because people still, the example is, I would say, the famous Empire LARP that's down south.
Yeah.
You see everything, but not what you want. And I wanted Warhammer. And you see people playing there with armors, and one has a purity seal, the other one might have a Sigmar signature, the other one might have a Chaos signature, but they can't play it because they have to follow the guidelines of the organizers, of the lore masters, who have, our universe is unique. And it's not unique. Sorry. Warhammer is more unique than your universe.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I had to rely and go to Poland to play Warhammer. And I started communicating, socializing with some Warhammer groups and Empire groups. and started adding people online on Facebook. And I came across Carolina. So we started talking about the Warhammer community. And
as a fellow crafter.
Yes. And we realized we matched so much. So we said, you know what, why not let's play together when I came there. So, and that's how we started.
Fantastic. It's a lovely story as well. So, I mean, throughout this conversation, I've already been putting pictures up for people to see the things that you've been making, you've been talking about. I will probably put up the wrong pictures at times, so forgive me. But I'd love to kind of explore a little bit more as well about how you go about when you decide on a new costume, how you go about the process of designing it and what materials you're going to use. And that's a question for both of you. So
So the start, of course, is with the design sketch.
No, the start is with actually the idea, thinking about it.
Yes, of course.
Explode in your mind with, I'm going to do that. And usually we never do.
Yeah.
Yes.
The problem is with the time. Time is the biggest, problem.
Time and
resources. The resources.
Oh, yes.
Because materials are also, they are not cheap. Especially the wool, if you want a good quality wool, it's gonna cost you. You can't like go
also
around.
narrowing down what you like. It's so vast, especially we feel that we don't have to worry about other universes, because Warhammer Fantasy, I would keep on saying, because I like the term, not the old world, is so vast that it leaves room for everything. And you may never decide what you actually want. So the Empire costumes that you saw, it was a process of literally from 2016. And I have a photo, you will see that I literally have one pants, and then it's literally one breastplate that I was given from a friend. And until 2023, that was the LARP we have in Poland. That is a whole, how many years? 4 and 3, 7 years of concept.
And he made an armor for me, because I said that I don't have anything to play in the Empire. And
that was 1
if
month.
you want to be a great sword, you have to have an armor. It's like, So he said, okay, I will make you an armor. So I had to then back then I was still living in Poland, and I had to come here for him to make a bust, like with my measurements, because the armor has to be made
to measure, with the
shape.
So we had to cast here literally into plaster cast.
Plaster cast,
and duct tape, a lot of it.
So and then he made me the armor, and then we went for the LARP, and it was quite fun. It was my first time actually playing Empire Knight, I would say.
Mercenary greatsword.
A
dirty mercenary greatsword who only cares about money and beats up people.
I'm not the type of like a paladin. I'm more like from the character. I can't play righteous, those paladin style. I am, I would say, a chaotic, neutral.
Neutral. Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand.
So all those, scumbags, drunk tards, everything. That's what I can play.
More time.
So when you're there, how long is an event like that? How many days does it go on for?
It was unfortunately this one, it was 2 days, but they have like 4 days LARP.
The longest I think is 4 days, 4 to 5. It's not so much as a battle LARP. It has battle.
It's divided between the parts of the day, so 2 parts of the day mostly. The day we have the battles and the organization, the commanding of troops, objectives, or conquering different.
And night is
night is a tavern life, as we say.
Partying.
The camp life. Partying, going around the camp.
But we also have. There were some games when the organizers tried to put also the night battles, like night fights, it wasn't counting, like, you could,
for safety aspects most of the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
or,
but
yeah.
they allowed people to actually do something at night, so they are not bored. So you can, but yeah, it's like 4 days. I would say it's like this like maximum.
Do you stay in character the whole time, or do
Yeah.
you
Yes.
No
yes.
phones, nothing.
I mean, you have two options. You can sleep and be in like a normal tent outside of the game zone.
Yeah.
But if you are in a game zone, you have to be like 24/7. So you sleep, you go out, and you go, even if you go out in your underwear, like the medieval underwear, you already are in a character.
Yeah, I see. So you're not ruining the immersion for anyone else that wants to do that. But if you do want to leave, you could go to normal tent for a few hours if you need some downtime.
There might be an accident or someone is feeling uncomfortable. We have how you call it, safety words, like is this one or usually
no, it's red, yellow, and green.
Yeah. So where you want to stop the interaction or not.
Yes. So I was on a LARP, 350 people, Warhammer universe. Big battle. We use the mass. They use the muskets. They use the black powder guns. We use also a bit of pyrotechnics like grenades, the cannons, and they shoot. Some of the cannons are air-based.
A small quantity of gunpowder sometimes.
Yes.
Or something.
And there's a big fight in a very narrow place. It was like a gate, and there was like a corridor. And of course, you have those. We need to have the plastic, the toy toys, those
the plastic
the bathroom,
toilets,
yeah,
plastic toilet. And for the nice look, they put like this potato sacks material.
Please don't judge us about the story. Probably the persons who know the story, they will see this video. We love you, and we will still come and play.
Of course, it was dangerous. I have to say, but after now, like everyone is laughing. Because the big battle, and like there's a commotion, it's chaos, nobody's watching anything, and suddenly somebody screams red, so something very bad happened, and I was like, what happened? And we see this whole toilet in a big fire, like it was completely like a torch
with someone inside,
and inside was a guy, and he was doing his thing, his business.
He's our future commander.
And everybody is panicking. What do we do? It's a big fire, it can spread. And suddenly the guy just opens the toilet and goes, and nothing. He didn't suspect what the guy miss.
Brilliant.
I love to.
So yeah, some stuff happens.
I'd like to tell you an example of immersion that I really found out. I was reading the rules before I went to join the battle LARPs, and I was reading the immersion, especially on the troops on the ground. It's so crazy and so similar to the Warhammer rule set and how we play Warhammer. So especially on the Imperial side, you have the provinces. And each one usually is represented by a unit, usually in the LARP. So we were part of the Karabur Greatswords, let's say, in faction. Or you would have the biggest one is Ostland, Null, and stuff like that. And
there is also a big group of Bretonia.
Now Bretonian is getting big.
Averland.
But especially big functions like Ostland, they have units dedicated as halberdiers, as swordsmen, musketeers. They all work in formation. They have captains, officers with a hierarchy and discipline to real military. Like if you overstep boundaries or you fail on disciplinary things, you actually have precautions. You can be flogged. You can be what else? You can be whipped. You can be put to to a wooden pole and people will throw baggage or cabbage or tomatoes at you. Real, like we were given at some point cherries or grapes to throw at a theater, but I love so much grapes I was eating them, but other people were throwing them. And as you go into combat, I was reading the rules. They have the standard bearer, the unit. They have the musician. They have the sergeant. And
so it's actually like in the tabletop.
Yes, the musician will inspire the troops. The standard bearer, I was watching. They have coins hanging by the banner, and when you die, you actually can claim one of the coin, and you go back to the hospital, and where a hospital priest, warrior priest, or hospital nurses would be, and you can give that coin. So you can go back and join your unit in combat. And when the coins are finished from the banner, you won't have any more reinforcement coming to the unit. And that's how the unit gets depleted. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've never seen something like that.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good. It is good fun. Sounds really good fun. Sounds about, yeah. If I was a little bit younger. So then we were talking about it.
You're talking about being a bit younger. I think I will book you a ticket next year, and that younger thing will stop.
You need to manufacture me a new knee, at least, maybe something else as well. But we were talking a little bit before we started recording. So this year, Games Workshop announced a partnership with Schneider, I think it's called. I think it's a German company that's clearly made LARPing and historical equipment of the past, but they're going to be doing some kind of official license thing. And it's definitely sort of, I signed up because I was interested. I thought, well, if I could buy a replica Warhammer looking sword to put on my wall along with some of the other things I've got hanging up, that might be cool. But I wanted to know what you guys thought of that, because this is obviously, it feels like a bigger company and a big commercial partnership. And I imagine that the industry is full of lots of people like yourselves that is a real smaller artisan craft and artists and things. And I'd be really interested in your thoughts on that partnership and what it may mean for people like yourselves, or just in general, really.
I would like to, okay, let's start. I think, first of all, we welcome it. We welcome it with open arms. I believe it's a very good in the community. But now we have to discuss which community exactly. We felt, and I don't want to speak for the Polish community, but I've read comments, I've read posts, I've read articles. I could also add part of me before even starting LARPing. I felt that we were kind of forgotten about the fantasy people, the fantasy hobbyists, from the moment that the universe died. And we can discuss about this for endless hours. Why it happened? Okay, it didn't sell much. But we saw a boom afterwards from third parties, whether it was the Warhammer Total War, skyrocketing the sales, bringing people into the Warhammer fantasy, while the fantasy universe in the wargaming industry, it was dead, and it was dead for many years, with the company trying to advertise something after that. And everybody was looking, where is this board game? And suddenly I found, as many people know, from the British or from smaller countries, a Warhammer scene, Warhammer LARP scene that was so big. And we will always say, where is that? Where can I play that? And you have such great quality of costumes, of weapons, of armors, and the company nowhere to be found about supporting this.
Yeah, I think that them collaborating and doing
it was very late
with creators of some crafters of the outfits and the costumes and stuff it's a good thing. That is a one thing, but I think that they should also see and look at in general look at the LARP events.
Directly the LARP events. Unfortunately,
this is such a huge advertisement
and
for them.
Unfortunately, what encircles Game Workshop, as we all know, and we laugh about that and we joke, it's the term copyright. There is a big problem with Game Workshop about over copywriting everything. And we can say, you know, they have the right to copyright that, but they are losing out of this copyright a lot of opportunities. For so many years, you have these active LARPing communities, and Game Workshop either nowhere to be found or actively suppressing a lot of that, suppressing smaller crafters, suppressing events. When we started the workshop here, and you will see some of the pictures, in order to acquire money for tools, I started, because of my background of Warhammer miniature painting and competing in different competitions. I started drawing Warhammer shields, you know, that the troops would carry here, and people would carry them as their personal heraldry. I had to paint some shields for American LARPers, for their Warhammer LARPs, and they wanted me to use iconography that will not directly link them to Warhammer, but they were Warhammer players, because Game Workshop would suppress them. And we were like, why? What is the problem? You know, like, how else can we advertise the Warhammer if makers don't make Warhammer stuff? Not everybody can make his own Warhammer things. You know, someone needs to make for other people. And our biggest blow for that, which I hope it will come about at some point and will don't care about me, but hopefully for other people. When we went to the Warhammer world, as I've told you before, we tried to express and to make a proposition to prepare the space. So when we go there, we would like to discuss with someone about the things we made. And Carolina made weapons. We didn't even want money, you know, we just wanted to share the lab and provide for them some props. Yeah. The moment that we expressed that we make, it was literally like, so you are a criminal. So you are illegal.
The change in the person, like we are talking, it was like a curtain.
Completely cut. It wasn't the manager of the Warhammer world. It was someone who plays the live action battles, a very, very awesome person. I'm not gonna name. We loved the conversation we had, but we saw an image that we don't really appreciate small independent artists.
And this is not welcome.
That this is not welcome. And I'm not gonna say myself that I'm an artist. Leave it out of the door. Might be for other people. And I welcome the thing that happened, the contract with that company. But I won't say that it's really a small company. It's a type of LARP mass-produced company that they rely, most of their products come from third world countries, unfortunately, and they're mass-produced. And after we analyzed this contract in the Polish community, 80–90% literally laughed regarding the materials, the construction process. You can't have a Warhammer costume made out of modern synthetic material and advertise it that it is for the LARPing community. This is a joke. Like, people make it out of wool. Make it out of wool. You are supposed to be the best miniature company in the world, and you have to rely into polyester for your costume. We are waiting to see. I hope we are mistaken and it's good, but I think they are targeting the wrong market. I would definitely buy something and put it on my wall, but they should have all this year right now funded the existing Warhammer communities. Say, you know what, they should let the market or the initiative open that you want to put a Warhammer LARP. Where are you in the world? Poland? Okay. What do you need? I want to put a Warhammer LARP together, and this is the background. All right, so maybe you need some funding because you're advertising us. Yeah, that would be good. No,
instead of the funding, everybody was actually scared to even use the word Warhammer.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We were completely scared. Yeah, like sometimes it was like, should we even say that it's even inspired by Warhammer, because you don't know.
Like one American guy asked me to make him a shield of Sigmar, and he wanted me to use an old terminology that it was in the second edition, Zoltan. And when I was like, why do you want this name Sultan? So they don't sue me. What do you mean? It's such a wild west in America regarding game workshop lawyers that they just sue all day whatever they find. We have another craft maker in Germany. He makes patches, and his main source of income is putting up these patches for the in Etsy for the Warhammer community to buy. He got a cease and desist because his patches have the provincial names from Game Workshop.
Right. Yeah. They protect their IP very, very strongly. I imagine the deal with this new company as well is that they're not giving this company any money. This company has paid to license the brand.
It's different. I think Game Workshop find them. Game Workshop found them. The Game Workshop wanted to have an active, I think, to capitalize, get into the market because of the old release.
So I just assume because they have such a big IP team now, a big part of their business is basically selling their IP to all these other companies. And I just assumed that they'd maybe pitched it to a company, but said, look, do you want to pay for art? Because I bet you the money's going back into Games Workshop, but I can't imagine they'll be selling the stuff themselves. I imagine all the stuff will be available only through this company.
I'm not gonna say that. These companies actually, they have very talented people. Okay, some of their catalog unfortunately comes from third world countries, which we don't support because it cuts the creativity of Western Europe or Eastern Europe, I would say, and it's sad. But as we've seen on the trailer, there is a lot of actually talented designer and artists. And I think Game Workshop did research, and they had to choose a couple of companies. There was the Epic Armory. There was a British company. I can't forget. I can't remember the name. And they just decided on that company because of the background and the manufacturing capabilities. And I'm not gonna say that the quality is bad. I'm just gonna say that it was kind of on the forgotten part. That suddenly you come and we have to be with open arms while we've been doing it for 10 years now. And where were you for 10 years? That's it.
Yeah. It's unless they think they can make money out of it, they're probably not going to be involved in an official sense with anything, unfortunately, these days, which is a shame. But I get the impression it's not going to affect you it won't affect the existing communities in a negative way, because the people buying this stuff will probably use it at some of the LARP, and maybe in this country, like you talked about, where it's a bit more less hands-on, a little bit more RPG-ish rather than reenact-ish, shall we say?
There were LARPs especially in Poland and some other countries that have very strict rules in regard to materials. So they might struggle there, but I just hope, whatever good happens and how much more open to the outer public Warhammer gets, the better.
Exactly.
Maybe a lot of people buying it will be wearing it at Warhammer World for special launch days or things like that, or Comic-Con and conventions and that kind of stuff. Definitely. So let's talk a bit about the other stuff you make then. So you don't just do Warhammer things. You've got, I'll put links below to anything you want in the video description, but you've got at least 3 things that you've shown me on Facebook before. So you've got your historical and fantasy creations, you've got Magoth, you've got the Umbrella UK stuff as well. So you don't just do Warhammer fantasy style costume and LARP. Do you want to talk a bit about the others?
Yes, this project started way back in Greece from my cosplay background, and I always wanted to create a costume group. And my love for Resident Evil led me to actually following in the footsteps of a much bigger Italian group, Umbrella Italian Division, it was called. And I love their concept, and I tried to do it in Greece. And now after I migrated, we decided together to reintroduce this project here in Scotland. It's going well. We are about 10 to 15 people. And the concept is it's not about cosplay in general, but how we could, again, it has the reenactment style behind, how we could envision, like the Italians, an umbrella corporation as realistic as possible in the modern society. And we do that in Comic Cons, horror cons, or in general conventions. What else? The Magoth, as you say, the Magoth was the umbrella of the workshop when we came to Scotland. So with the rest of the makers, we are in the workshop together. So Magoth was incorporating all the different hobbies or artistic endeavors we would do from the workshop. Either it would be commercial or definitely specifically hobby-like for our entertainment. And,
that's about it.
Yeah.
Because
when we're gonna start about 3D printing, so we will never stop talking.
Yeah, when I came here to live with Alex in Scotland, he said like, oh, you know what? It was so long since I played the tabletop, and he tried to convince me to start playing with him because he wanted to go back, but we didn't have anyone else to play with.
It was because of the launch of the old world that you know.
And I was like, well, okay, I can try. Like I know that it existed. I know that I knew it exists, but I didn't know how to. You know, it was complete black magic for me. So I read the rules,
yeah.
the rule books.
I have very special memories with the 7, and it's not just the rules. It was, you know, me growing up and playing the tournaments and making very strong relationships there.
So okay, like we figured out. Okay, so we need armies, right? We need the miniatures.
We had my empire.
But you know, playing empire against empire, you know, like how much you can take it. So we figured out, okay, so we have to make our armies.
Buying from Game Workshop? No, buying from Game Workshop, it would be, you know, completely out of
not enough resources for that. And we figured out that we would buy a 3D printer. And we will start 3D printing. We
had some background from the workshop. We had a 3D printer there from another member, and we always wanted to print something, but it was kind of, you know, resin 3D printers. And, you know, with resin, it's a bit difficult. You have to spend some time. And I was always afraid to, so I always had to ask for help. So at some point, they just got tired of me, and they told me, just do it yourself.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. So when we met with Karolina, we decided, do you want to get into that journey? She said yes. So one morning, I wake her up and tell her,
I just bought a 3D printer
from eBay. Which one? A 12K one. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Oh yeah, we found the company that makes their own designs of
we like to say thank you for their creation. And they are local here in Edinburgh, the Highland Miniatures.
Yes,
some of the most amazing figures.
So we bought the whole pack of vampire troops
from my mini factory, where they are hosted, because we wanted to support them as much as possible.
So yeah, and we printed, and okay, but we need the table to play on. And you know, like we went to the workshop, we found some the floorboards,
floor tiles together, wooden floor tiles that you can just connect them together.
We just connected them together with nails, with the support,
glue and everything.
We made literally the legs to the table are from PVC pipe.
We wanted to introduce a concept that it's not an actual table where you either sit or stand. Because our room is small, we wanted to also be comfortable. So we decided to literally
make it very low.
Like how the Japanese sit to eat, you know, this level. So you can literally put your feet underneath and just chill.
Yeah. Nice. So we made this project of
you can see it in the background.
DIY
it sits, here.
DIY board. And then we started to think like, what can we do to make it look like
realistic. And I have included one picture. I was looking and looking, what we gonna take?
At the beginning, we put like green felt.
Literally, green felt.
Literally. We didn't know anything else. And then is when we
came across your video. And that was it. How to make an old school game workshop terrain. And then, you know, this literally hit on my memories. It wasn't just, you know, the concept that you made. It was the memories that brought back. And I think that has to do with the release of the old world. It's not just the new game, it's the memories. It's the taking the trip down to the memory lane. And felt it wasn't enough. So I kept watching your video. And so, you know, the concept, or it's not just the what is the material called?
The grass.
Not the grass. You use the not the fed.
The mats. The mat that I used.
The mats.
Yeah.
The flock.
The flock, exactly. And I remember, I used to play on that flock back in 2006, 2007, when I was a kid. And I liked how you spray painted it and used different.
So we found all the companies from which you got the stuff. We bought the mat, and we did it exactly like you advised, and it was like, oh my God, it was looking so cool.
Yes, and because it was looking so cool, we wanted to reach out to you and literally say thank you.
Yeah, like thanks for showing us that, because you know it was like this light bulb.
Yeah.
Over your head. Like,
because you know, like
you can do it like that. Wow.
You know, after you see it, you feel so okay. It looks cool. You know, you realize the capabilities of how it could be done. But before you see it, before we saw your video, we didn't even think that this could be the final result. You know, we could have such a result to enjoy. You think, okay, I bought the felt. I'm okay. I'm happy. But right now it's completely different style of gameplay. Because we play 7, because we play together, we sometimes make our own rules. The game is more how you say, not lore based, but there's the
narrative sort of things. You allow the
exactly.
For me, it's a very important thing. There has to be like a story. There has to be like something like I'm always saying that this is like a count, you know, like a vampire count, and he's attacking the city. So we have to have this like narrative sense.
And my character was a warrior priest, and back then the company had these special rules. The warrior priest can declare at the start of the game a character that he hates, and he has to kill. Oh no, the witch hunter. The witch hunter. Yes, has to declare someone is a heretic. So the vampire was the heretic because he raised the army from Sylvania. And we played how many games? 4 games. She keeps on winning. I don't know how she does. Like seriously. And I try.
Vampire's rule. No?
And I try. It's not that I'm giving her space. I try hard, and she keeps on winning.
And even with the steam tank,
even with the steam tank, like 2 times we ended up the steam tank getting rolled back and forth from the varguls. Literally, you see the engineer going back and forth inside the tank and keep on failing his steam points.
Well, I remember both of those books in 7th edition, and the vampire book was quite strong. Yeah. So maybe you've picked a good one there, Carolina, to use, definitely.
And you know, back then you had a lot of guess rules. You know, like the canon has a guess. You just can take the measure and guess the charge. The initiative is to the player who charges, not to the highest initiative. And you also have to guess, will my unit reach the guess line? So I think, you know, it brings back these fun memories that you had back then, from people shouting and throwing the dice to the bin.
Yeah, especially that we are not, you know, playing competitive. We are not looking for, you know, competitions and stuff like that.
Broken,
we are playing for ourselves. For the fun, the pure joy of playing.
You know, the concept of how the game was introduced back then, you know, it was like that.
I think that's how most people play anyway, and even people that proper tournaments, the majority of people are there just to have a good time, really, and tell their own little stories. And some people like to play more competitively. That's fine as well, because there's room for everyone to do everything they want to do. But what you're describing is just the core of it for so many of us. Is the core of Warhammer is in your living room, almost on the floor for you, but just a little bit off the floor, just having a good time, creating stories and memories and having fun with it. And it's great.
After the units, like we prepared the units, of course, but we need terrain. Like we need more. We need buildings. We need stuff, and then we went on completely into the rabbit hole.
We went into a rampage hoarding on eBay. I shared the photo.
Honestly, our postman hates us.
Yes, we call him Santa Claus.
Hates us because we started ordering so much stuff that every day it was like Christmas Day.
It was an addiction because at this point, it was just when the old world was released, but there was no units, no terrain. So people would put up a lot of deals on eBay. But it wasn't, I would see the first deal I would click. I have an addiction of trying to get the best deal because of my Greek background heritage. I want the best one. So I sent you some examples, and I was able to find like some crazy scores. And for terrain, for forests, for castles, and
a lot of the buildings, the houses.
The castle in particular was a friend of mine right now. He put it up. I don't know what price I would put up the castle, and I texted him, "You want something printed?" Yeah, 40K.
So we did barter. That's a good thing.
And how did we paint the castle? How did we paint the castle again?
Did you watched the video? Did you?
Yes, of course.
And what did I happen to do? You never explained it. What was the color you used for weathering the castle? And I literally used Typhoon Corrosion in the airbrush.
Oh yes, yeah. Airbrushes aren't designed for almost sand going through it. That's what you learn something.
Yeah. Now I have two contrast paints on my painting setup, because we usually use mostly army paint or Vallejo scale 72, but Game Workshop has some very cool special technical paints.
Also, aside of the originals that we bought like a lot, and we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big.
Seven big boxes, plastic boxes on the up of the cupboards, because we don't have space.
Like people open gaming shops with less.
Yeah, we could actually open a gaming shop.
We have a problem, like seriously.
We have a problem, and of course, aside of that, we started creating our own handmade stuff, like the one that we made last was the demolished, like almost burned house, like ruins of a house. We have an inn that was made like totally like the DIY style from an old milk box, like milk carton, and coffee stirrers.
And this is the nature also. It's a healthy nature of the hobby, because you can also buy the plastic kits or print your own stuff, because they hold a special not special place in your heart. They actually look good, but at the same time, back in the day, and there is still communities, they want to give you the concept of make it also from yourself, like how the Game Works started back then. They had books on how to make terrain. And that was part of the whole concept, and I think
it was fun. It's like the fun of creation. It's like you have a piece of a foam or plastic card or something else, and you make out of this sheet of the plastic card, you make a whole building.
We make a hill, a forest,
and
or
it's
something.
and then you look at it and it's like, it looks good. So
yeah, there's far less of that now. That's something that's really, really gone away. You'll still get painting tutorials and things in magazines,
yeah,
but there's very little of that homemade kind of stuff that was around when I was a kid. It was definitely the most basics, your cereal boxes and things. So it's so nice to see people do that still, because a lot of people do. Lots of people make amazing stuff. A lot more foam these days because it's easier to get hold of, and there's amazing tools out there for cutting it now that didn't have, at least on the shelf back then when I was a child. But the stuff you've done is incredible. It's lovely to see how kind of excited and enthused you've got by creating something you love almost in real size down onto a tabletop again, which is really,
I have
really amazing.
a picture included from when winning the competition here, that we made two objects for fun objects. One was a Skaven head, and the other was a portable square base.
Yes,
And
yes,
if you open
I've seen
up
the picture.
yes, it's very fun. And I wanted to portray that thing. It's not just a costume; it's the actual figure in 1:1 scale.
Very clever, very clever.
We will have two resin printers. The second one is on the way.
Yeah, but the future now is in 3D printing, unfortunately.
And we have
also good and bad.
Two FDMs. So we can print terrain, like buildings,
cosplay stuff.
Cosplay stuff too, but we were thinking more about actually printing the houses and the pieces of
we got terrain. How many kilos of resin, liquid resin and molding? I shouldn't have said that. For some recasting, legal recasting, just for us.
Just for us, yes.
So because I want to get back into the, again, memory lane, to make, as back in the day, you used to cut pieces together and make extravagant dioramas.
Yeah.
And, kit is very expensive. So we want to be able to recast and make.
We want to make like a big, like in Warhammer world, they have those big dioramas.
The big castles and the big cities and everything.
So that's what we aim for. To make, like, for ourselves, just to have that childish need of I must have it. I have to.
Not only that, and we want to support also the local community. We got into some hobby deals, I would say. I wouldn't say business deals. Nobody makes money out of that, and serious money. And because you have to treat it with love, and we want to support the local community. And there is gonna be the very first tabletop con event in Scotland in February, and we suggested the idea: let's put a big table together. How long? 2 6x4 square feet.
Okay.
We want to host a big old school diorama theatrical battle, with 4 players against 4 players.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
With the castle siege.
For people to look around, have fun, play, because.
So aside of the 40K, that will be probably the biggest.
Or Age of Sigmar as well.
Or Age of Sigmar. We will also try to host like this battle for the old.
Yeah. Warhammer is all about scale. Big scale, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds incredible. I've been looking forward to see your progress as you gather all your stuff together for that, and to make sure that we get pictures shared of that when you've finished doing it all as well.
Yeah, and all will be painted according to someone's standard.
Yeah.
So I hope you take the train or the bus or the plane to come and see it yourself.
I'd love to. At some point, I'd definitely love to do that. I mean, I'm going to be working on some Empire in the new year myself. Now we know that that's going to be the next fact. I've already started putting some things together, but that's not a discussion for here anyway. But before we let you go, so where can people find you online? What would you like to sort of share with people if they want to get in touch with you about creating something for them? Because I'm sure you create stuff for people. Maybe some people would just want to see your things, but I'm sure some people might like to spend some money with you as well. So where can people find you online? Where should they look?
So
the AK historical.
The AK historical, which is mostly our LARP or cosplay or a bit of historical creations there from the workshop. And this is strongly based if you want something to display in your house or to dress up into the LARP community, and also the reenactment community. And we have also the witch art, where we showcase most of our Warhammer creations, which is strictly based Warhammer creation, whether it's 2D art, 3D art, or printed art. And then we have, the reenacting thing, the Umbrella UK division, we try to advertise as much as possible, which is completely different from all what discussed, but it's still, it's still dress up and hobby. So
it's the AK historical, the witch art,
and the Umbrella UK
and the Umbrella.
I'll make sure all those links are if you have any more as well, let me know, and I'll put those in the video.
Facebook, Instagram, most of them are there. Yeah.
Fantastic. I know I follow them all on Facebook. I don't know if I have on Instagram yet. I'll have to make sure I do. But thank you for coming. And I mean, there's so much I could ask you about. But thank you so much for coming, both of you, for coming on and talking a little bit about the LARPing side and the costuming side of Warhammer, and then explaining that journey back to the tabletop for you, Alex, and new to the tabletop for you, Carolina, because it's really lovely to see that connection.
We thank you for the opportunity to talk about our stuff.
It's our very first opportunity that was given for us, so it's a very big thing. And
pleasure, absolute pleasure. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. It was great fun to talk to Alex and Carolina. So thank you so much to both of them again for taking the time to talk to me all about something I knew very little or next to nothing about. I am definitely interested in Warhammer themed LARP and costumes. I am interested in maybe picking up an item or two just to own, especially weaponry, a sword or a shield or something like that for the wall. And that might be something that I do in the future. Maybe I will commission them to make me something. We shall see how my finances allow. If you are interested in getting in touch with them to maybe get something made for yourself or just to talk to them about any of their endeavors, I will pop in the video description all the links to their Facebook pages and Instagram and all those things, so you can get in touch with them both and ask any questions they have. If you'd like to support me and this channel further, there's loads of links in the video description that will help you do that as well, including affiliate links to a few stores and things, but also my Patreon, which is a really, really great way of helping me keep making these videos. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.